Erythritol is in everything from keto desserts to sugar-free drinks. It promises a sweet taste with 0 calories and 0 guilt, but it's been rocked by controversial studies linking it to heart attacks. And for many, it leads to digestive chaos. So what is the real, scientifically proven story behind the sweetener erythritol? Stick around because we're separating the facts from the fear-mongering so that you can decide if erythritol has a place in your diet. To understand why erythritol is so controversial, let's start with the basics. What exactly is it and how is it made? Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, not sugar, not alcohol, but a type of carbohydrate that tastes sweet without adding many calories. Naturally, small amounts are found in fruits like grapes, pears, and even in fermented products like wine and cheese. But the erythritol you find in foods like your keto ice cream or diet soda. It's made in factories instead of being squeezed out of fruit. The process usually starts with corn or wheat starch, which is broken down into glucose. Then specific yeasts or fungi ferment that glucose, kind of like brewing beer, but instead of alcohol, the result is erythritol crystals. These crystals are filtered, purified, and dried into the white powder that's about 70% as sweet as table sugar, but nearly calorie-free. That process makes erythritol much cheaper and scalable, which is one of the reasons why it shows up in so many products. So why did erythritol become such a darling of the food industry? The proposed benefits are, on a biochemical level, quite compelling and explain its widespread use. First, it's known for its zero glycemic impact. It doesn't spike your blood sugar or insulin. The mechanism for this is fascinating. Your body essentially can't metabolize most of it. After you eat it, about 90% gets absorbed directly into your bloodstream through your small intestine. Since your body can't break it down, it doesn't turn into energy or fat. Instead, your kidneys filter it out, and it's excreted completely unchanged in your urine. This unique pathway is the foundation of its major selling points. It delivers a sweet taste, but with nearly 0 calories and, crucially, no impact on blood sugar. This made it a cornerstone for diabetics and anyone on a keto or low-carb diet, as it provides the sweetness they crave without the carbs that would disrupt glucose levels or kick them out of ketosis. Second, there's a well-established dental benefit. Unlike sugar, it doesn't feed the cavity-causing bacteria in your mouth. This isn't just a theory, it's the exact reason you'll find it in so many sugar-free gums and even some toothpaste. And finally, a key part of its marketing was its digestive reputation. Now, sugar alcohols like maltitol and sorbitol are infamous for causing significant bloating and gas. Erythritol was touted as a major improvement. Because roughly 90% of it is absorbed into the bloodstream, a much smaller amount reaches the large intestine compared to other sweeteners. This led to the claim that it was easy on the stomach and the gentle sugar alcohol, a claim that held true for many, but as we'll see, not for everyone. For a significant number of people, the experience is far from that marketed ideal. The reality is that your tolerance depends heavily on the dose and your individual gut health. The most common complaint is a trio of digestive distress: bloating, gas, and diarrhea. And it all comes down to that remaining 10%, the small amount that isn't absorbed into the bloodstream. When that portion hits the large intestine, it acts like a magnet for water through osmosis, and gut bacteria see it as a snack to ferment. For most people, this small amount is manageable. But if you consume a huge dose in one sitting, or if you have a sensitive gut, like with IBS, that 10% is more than enough to launch a full-scale urgent protest from your digestive tract. So while it's gentler, moderation is still the key. Now, for a long time, the only real concern was what it did to your gut. But then in early 2023, the story took a dramatic turn. A bombshell study dropped, linking high levels of erythritol in the blood to a significantly increased risk of heart attack and stroke, and a growing body of subsequent research has raised questions about its potential impact on the nervous system as well. Headlines exploded. But this is where it's critical to separate alarming correlation from actual causation. The study's participants weren't healthy adults. They were predominantly older individuals with pre-existing conditions. To be specific, 2/3 had high blood pressure, 1 in 5 had diabetes, and over half already had heart disease. Here's additional insight. The body naturally produces erythritol internally when it's under metabolic stress. So it is likely that their high erythritol levels were a marker of their existing poor health, a symptom, not the cause. That's why the findings sparked debate among scientists. But what does all this mean for you and me at the grocery store? Here's what it means. If you're generally healthy and mindful of your intake, the current evidence suggests erythritol can be a safe and useful part of a sugar-reduced diet. However, the long-term effects of very high, consistent intake are still unknown, especially for people with existing health risks. It is crucial to remember that regulatory approval is a living process instead of a permanent stamp. After the 2023 study, agencies like the FDA and EFSA did not revoke its approved status. The FDA's review emphasized the study's observational nature and found it insufficient to justify a policy change. So while it's still on the market as safe, the scientific community is watching closely for more robust, long-term human studies to better understand the potential risks. The well-tolerated daily dose for healthy adults is around 0.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, about 30 to 40 grams total. In short, moderation is the smartest policy until more evidence rolls in. But what does that actually look like? About 35 grams is roughly 7 level teaspoons. In practical terms, that's the amount in 3 to 4 keto protein bars, or a good batch of homemade sugar-free cookies. For most people, staying within this range is very doable. Now, how does erythritol compare to other sweeteners? Compared to stevia, it often has less bitterness. Compared to monk fruit, it's usually cheaper and better for baking. Why? Because erythritol is a crystalline solid, just like sugar. That gives cookies and cakes their structure, bulk, and texture. Quick pro tip, if you find its cooling sensation a bit strong, blend it with a sweetener like monk fruit. It neutralizes that menthol effect beautifully and gets you much closer to the taste of real sugar. Now, no matter where you stand on erythritol, here's how to become a label detective. First, look for erythritol by name, but often it hides in blends. If you see monk fruit sweetener or stevia extract, always check the fine print. If erythritol comes first, that's what you're really buying. One more catch. The term sugar alcohols on the nutrition panel. That's your cue to dig into the ingredient list. Why? Because other sugar alcohols, like maltitol, have a much higher glycemic index and are notorious for causing significant digestive upset. Whether you're trying to use erythritol or avoid it completely, checking the ingredient list is the only way to know what you're really getting. And finally, this is a critical and non-negotiable warning. Erythritol is highly toxic to dogs. Their bodies process it differently, triggering a rapid insulin surge that can drop blood sugar to dangerously low levels. This hypoglycemia can cause seizures, coma, and in severe cases, liver damage or even death. The amount in just one erythritol-sweetened cookie may be enough to cause harm. So please keep all erythritol-containing products completely out of their reach. So, the truth about erythritol is more nuanced than the headlines suggest. It has clear benefits, but also real uncertainties. The safest approach? Informed moderation. An occasional small amount in your coffee or a protein bar is likely fine for most, but relying on it heavily, especially if you have existing health risks, is not a wise strategy. The key is to understand the trade-offs, listen to your body, and never let a single headline make your choices for you. But perhaps the best advice isn't to hunt for the perfect sweetener, but to gradually reduce your overall craving for sweetness. The less you crave it, the less you need to rely on sugar or its substitutes. If you found this deep dive helpful, hit subscribe. We're just getting started on uncovering what the labels don't tell you, and we'd love to hear from you. What's been your experience with erythritol? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned. Our next investigation cracks the code on another popular sweetener, aspartame. This is the hidden ingredient. Stay curious until next time.